So we're here to talk about blockchain today, and I promise you I'm not going to get too technical except for the very beginning. So the way that we have this set up today is ARC is going to give about 5 minutes of an introduction to blockchain. First of all, everybody's heard of blockchain, right? Just raise their hand, make sure there's nothing new. Is anybody using blockchain? Anybody bought Bitcoin? No, good, excellent. The price is really, okay, we got one back there. So the real technical part here, so what is it? So blocks, each contains information. It was originally designed by a group of researchers in '91, intended to timestamp digital documents to prevent tampering. There wasn't much adoption until Satoshi Nakamoto tried to create the cryptocurrency Bitcoin. So once data is recorded in a blockchain, it's difficult to chain. So essentially, it's a distributed ledger technology that's open to anyone and across many sites. So the data depends on the type of blockchain. So each block contains a hash, and a hash is like a fingerprint. Each fingerprint is always unique, and that's part of the establishment of trust. And once a block is created, that hash is calculated. So computers can essentially create about 100,000 hashes per second. It doesn't use a central database, it uses a peer-to-peer network, and each network on the peer receives a full copy of the blockchain. So to ensure immutable data integrity, blockchain has 3 components. Multiple layers of cryptography to prevent tampering of the block. Encryption converts ordinary plain text into an unintelligible form of decryption to go from unintelligible back to plain text. So the question is, so most of you all are in manufacturing, you're oil and gas, and you're in chemicals industry. So the question is, knowing where blockchain started, is this a new open standard protocol for trusted records, identity, and transactions? How far does this go? Does this go across your enterprise architecture, or does this go down to your programmable logic controllers and the devices that you might have in your business? So there's a couple of different architectures that are out there, and a couple of terms that you might see as you begin to investigate blockchain. One is there's public data infrastructure and there's private data infrastructure. That infrastructure can be permissionless and it can be permissioned. So the permissionless public data infrastructure type that there is anyone can read or write or commit blocks in the chain. It's open to the internet, it has very public access, it's anonymous, and it's very, very difficult to scale. And I'm sure that you're familiar with things like Bitcoin mining and the problems associated with Bitcoin. So permissionless private data infrastructure, authorized participants can join, read and write. It's typically built on private enterprise architecture. Now the one that we're seeing most in industry today is permissioned private data infrastructure, not the Bitcoin kind. So only authorized participants can join and read. The network operator is required to read and commit, and it's very highly scalable. And our panelists are going to be talking about how that works today. So where are we on the technology curve? So we haven't quite crossed the chasm yet, but our assessment is that we've seen pilots in food and beverage, logistics, aerospace, distributed power generation. And to cross this chasm, we need to see a little bit more acceptance and application, so everything is still in pilot now. Food and beverage is driven by food safety and reduction in the cost of the recalls. And logistics is driven by replacing email, fax, and letters and electronic documentation. There's an example of a pilot that I'm going to talk about called TradeLens, where they're actually improving supply chain in the oil and gas. Distributed power gen is driven by the need for competitors to share data. So a couple of different examples. So Walmart Fresh Foods. So the problem here is that some food is particularly vulnerable to contamination, and obviously we can get sick if things, if our food supply is not taken care of. So using blockchain, this is a project, this information is publicly available. Walmart is using blockchain to rapidly pinpoint contamination in their supply chain. So the example is a test to identify sources of sliced mangoes. So before the blockchain implementation, it took 6 days, 18 hours, and 26 minutes. Too long and too expensive to do and the necessity is a broad recall. After blockchain, 2.2 seconds, quick response and a focused call. So the pilot is now completed and they're expanding to 100 plus farms, and this is December of 2018. Trade lens. So efficient and secure global trade, faster transactions, crude oil and many other products change hands many times before they reach the final customer. So this is replacing siloed EDI systems, email attachments, fax and courier. This project is founded by Maersk and IBM and now has 94 organizations involved, companies such as shippers, shipping lanes, freight forwarders, etc. And the scope is about smart contracts and trade documents. So as far as the status, they announced the pilot program in January of 2018, and that's now commercially available in August. The VAKT Consortium for Trading Crude Oil. Participant companies are BP, Equinor, Royal Dutch Shell. Traders are Gunvor, Mercuria, and Coke Supply and Trading. Banks include ABN, AMCO, ING, and Societe Generale. So this is wider release in January 2019. Companies Chevron and Total and Reliance have joined this consortium. Diamond Offshore Blockchain Drilling Service. Again, another pilot. It's designed to drive efficiencies with lower total cost of ownership. This is a coordinate with well construction activities among operators and contractors. So 5 modules are designed to improve well construction, such as supply chain and logistics, well planner, and spend monitor. Diamond Offshore launched this service in 2018. So the reason that I wanted to share these, so we've been covering this space for a relatively short time. Ralph Rio is the practice leader for blockchain for ARC, and he's not here today, but we've been covering this, and we found that there's quite a bit of interest where I think last year we had 1 session at ARC, and we didn't have very many use cases. So today, I've got 5 distinguished companies that are going to talk about progress in this space.